Alright, so we're here taking a closer look at your biped project, the face that we've got started here. There's, initially at the moment a whole lot of shaping and edge flow issues, as well as some geometry issues. For example, we've got this triangle here, another one up here, okay, and the edge flow is not quite proceeding the way we want it to. There's also this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sided polygon right there. Then on the other side here, we also have this kind of extra edge loop coming around, and some other unusual things going on, like this one that's just kind of stopping right there in the middle of that polygon. Okay. So I think what we're going to do for this one is, because we have some differences in the geometry depending on which side we're looking at, I'm going to go ahead and just delete one side, alright, and we'll just work on one side at a time, since it's, kind of gotten away from us a little bit and will be a little more difficult if we're trying to manage both of the sides. They should be pretty much symmetrical anyway, so it's, it's no big deal to just get rid of half, work with one half, and just mirror over the half that we've corrected later, okay? So I just went to face mode, and I am in my orthographic view right now looking at this from the front. Okay, I'm just going to grab all the faces on one side and just go ahead and delete them. And I'm choosing this side because this side actually has more geometrical anomalies going on than the other side, so just keep that in mind. This side's going to be easier to work with for you, okay? Just going to hit continue there. So I've gotten rid of everything on one side, so now it's a little more manageable, easier for us to deal with. So first thing we'll kind of tackle is getting the geometry correct, okay, and then we'll deal with shaping issues after that. Okay, so first let's just work on getting the correct geometry going. So you can see this edge right here coming up, and it's just kind of stopping in the middle of nowhere, alright? And, we've got this one here that's kind of splitting off into two different directions, alright? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and delete this edge loop right here. It's kind of going off on its own there. So I'm just going to double click on that, and make sure when you grab an edge like this, don't just hit the delete key, because I'll show you what happens when you do that. When I just hit the delete key like that, it leaves behind all these little floating vertices. So now I have a whole bunch of nasty polygons that are not four-sided, alright? So I never want to do that. I want to make sure whenever I'm getting rid of edges, I come up to Edit Mesh and choose Delete Edge / Vertex. It's going to get rid of those little vertices. You can see it just kind of pop into shape there. Alright. Now, what I'm going to do now is actually just move a couple of these verts up a bit. Oops, grab the wrong one there. There we go. I'm not being too precise about this at the moment. We can deal with the shaping problems that we're seeing a little later. But for now, I'm just gonna kind of move things around a little bit. I'm also gonna move these guys over a little bit, and what I'm doing is just making room for this edge loop on the bottom here to, rather than come over and join with this one, I'm just going to give it its own space. It's just going to come straight up through here and around through to the other side, okay? So I'm just going to do that with my Edit Mesh interactive split tool. I'm going to start right there, come across all the way up here, all the way to the end here, okay, where we just kind of have the opening for the mouth. All right, and I'm going to hit enter to complete my tool there. Now we've got this new line, so rather than coming off over here, it's continuing on its own through the mouth, through the lip area here, okay? So I'm going to get rid of, obviously, this little guy right here that I no longer need since I rerouted my geometry. So edit mesh, delete edge vertex, okay? So that fixes up the geometry issue that I was having down here on the chin, okay? Next thing we'll work on as far as fixing up the geometry is this area up here where we've got, you know, this six-sided polygon. We've got a triangle in here. We've got the face not quite following the way we would ideally want it to. All right. So ideally, with our face, we're gonna want to kind of, you know, you can see where we've got the eyeballs here, or the eye sockets, and it kind of curving around down through the mouth and to the other side. Okay, so you got kind of this oval shape that's kind of encompassing the face here with this particular set of edges. Now, ideally, we'd want to continue that with the very next set of edges. So we'd want to keep that kind of round shape going, and we've got all the elements in place there. We've got, you know, if we come out one edge from this guy, right, we've got this nice round shape going, it's kind of following along, and then it's kind of going off on its own up here to the top of the head rather than connecting right here with this loop, okay? So we're gonna kind of re-topologize that a little bit. I'm going to come up to Edit Mesh, Interactive Split Tool, and I'm going to take this edge, okay, and I'm going to join it up with this edge that we've got right here, right? So we'll come right here to this corner, and we'll just draw this guy right across here. Hit enter. Okay, so that's going to be my new flow. It's just coming along in this nice sort of loop that mimics the loop around the eyes and mouth, okay? Obviously there's still a lot of stuff going on here, okay? So, for example, we've got, you know, something coming out of the corner of the eye up, going up this way. We also have something coming out of the corner of the eye going over this way as well. So we'll want to deal with those things. Now at this point, you actually should have an edge loop that's coming out right here as well, okay? Right here in between this edge loop for the eye and this corner edge loop for the eye, okay? Should be another one right there. So we're gonna add that. I'm gonna go to Edit Mesh, Insert Edge Loop Tool. I'm just gonna place that edge loop right there, okay? That's gonna help our shaping later on. So this one for the corner of the eye is actually going to be one that's continuing upwards, alright? It's not going to be continuing back this way. This one that we've just created is kind of taking care of that back flowing motion that's going across the head this way. This one's going to be going more in an upwards direction, alright? So to kind of prepare for that, I'm going to move this just a little bit so that, you know, I can help myself kind of visualize where that's going. It's going up. And then I can sort of deal with all these other things that are going on around it. Alright? So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this edge right here. Okay? Delete edge vertex. And rather than having this edge come back this way, since I have my new one now, and I've got this one continuing upwards, I'm going to actually join this edge right here, okay, which is one I no longer need. It's the one below it, okay? So I'm just going to come up to Edit Mesh, Merge Vertex Tool, and I can just click and drag these guys together, okay? So effectively I'm getting rid of this extra edge loop that was previously coming out of the corner of the eye, okay? And it's going to look pretty blocky and messy at first, but it'll get there. Now, so now when I come up to here, you can see again it's splitting off in two different directions, alright? So again, this is just another case of an extra edge loop that we don't really want, okay? So we can grab this guy right here and just join it to the one beneath it, just like we did down here, okay? So we just a case of some extra geometry up here that we didn't really want, okay? So once I do that and go all the way around, I'm going to hit my Q button for quit to quit my Merge Vertex tool. So it's looking better, except for, of course, now we have this triangle going on here, right? And we still have this guy to worry about. So next thing we're going to do, let's go ahead and get rid of this edge, okay? So, you know, we kind of rerouted that geometry so that it's coming around this way. So this one, naturally, the next one is going to be flowing around to the next edge loop right over here, okay? So we're going to change that as well. Come up to Edit Mesh, Interactive Split Tool. We're going to bring it over here, okay? Hit Enter. And now that we've brought this one over here, this next one we're going to move over as well, okay? So we can get rid of that where it's connecting to this edge loop, alright? And we're just going to move it over by one. Interactive Split Tool, just grab it right there and we'll move it back, okay? Just like so. And then I'm also going to go ahead and get rid of this edge loop as well. Alright, so, you know, we can keep going on like that for quite some time, but eventually we're gonna run out of new places to attach these things, okay? So at this point, we're gonna have to add some geometry to help these lines that are, you know, not really having a home. First thing I'm gonna do is come up to Edit Mesh, Interactive Split Tool. I'm just gonna go ahead and connect these guys right here, okay? Do that one more time, there we go. Okay, so those are connected, these are connected, these are connected. This is the only one right here that doesn't really have anywhere to go, okay? So what I'm gonna do, just take some of this stuff and I'm gonna move it forward, all right? Pretty dramatically. Just moving it pretty far forward. I'm going to leave a space right here because I'm going to add a new edge loop for this one to come and connect to, okay? So I'll go Edit Mesh. We'll do Insert Edge Loop Tool, okay? And we can just place it right there in that space that we've created. I'm going to hit Q for quit to quit my tool. Then the only thing that remains here is to just connect these two edges to one another. So we'll go to our Interactive Split Tool to do that, of course. Okay, so now at this point our geometry is all in place. Everything that we need to work on this face is roughed in. It's roughly there. Okay, so we kind of have it laid out. We have the building blocks. Now we really need to just focus on shaping. So let's deal with that now. Okay. So first thing we're gonna take a look at here is we'll take a look at the front of the face. Okay. Now, as far as modeling goes, it's really about establishing some curves that you want to kind of define the shape of whatever it is you're modeling. All right, and you just want to kind of gradually change shape while following the curves that you've established already. All right, so to kind of put that into practice, here we've got this kind of swooping, flat, almost flat line, just coming down and then suddenly changing directions right here, kind of a dramatic point. But you'll notice on the top of our head here, we've got kind of the shape that we want, where it's this nice kind of round shape, all right? So generally, we should be sticking to this round shape that we've kind of established for our head, even as we continue inwards. All right, so this next edge loop you can see is kind of mimicking that round shape, right? And the next edge loop in as well should be, ideally, also mimicking that round shape, okay? So you're going to be following those outlines as well as you can, all right? Another big issue is spacing, okay? So you want things to be spaced fairly evenly. You want, meaning you want your polygons that are next to one another to be roughly the same size, unless you're in an area that requires a pretty dramatic shape change, okay? So I'll move this over a little bit. Now, I'm in my orthographic view right now, so, you know, whenever I'm moving things around like this, they're not actually moving at all in the Z direction. I'm only moving them at this point in X and Y, okay? And you know, you'll notice when I do some of that kind of thing, it's gonna, things are gonna get, you know, lost underneath the eyeball sometimes and other crazy fun stuff, but that's alright because we are gonna look at it from multiple angles, of course, and we're gonna address those issues as well by looking at them in different views, okay? It's really just all about coming in and adjusting things just one by one. You just want to give a little bit of attention to each of these verts, alright, to help push the shape that you're working on. The zoom tool is getting a little excited here, okay. Alright, so let's deal with this mouth area as well. At the moment, this spacing here is not so great. We've got this really long polygon shape next to some much shorter ones. So I'd actually suggest moving a lot of this over quite a bit. Okay, so I'm going to move that over pretty dramatically. I'm going to move this over as well. And maybe even this, actually. And of course, whenever I move things around, other things that are attached are going to be moving as well, okay? So whenever you're moving something, make sure you're moving anything next to it to kind of readjust for the new position, okay? I'm gonna bring this in just a little bit. I've got one that's kind of hanging out over here. Bring that in. And you can see we've got this kind of flat line thing going on again here underneath the eyeball, so make sure you round that out, all right? Bring out those nice round shapes wherever you can. Obviously, when we move the nose in so far, you know, a lot of this geometry is no longer really following a nice defined curve, so we have to move these things over as well, okay? Alright, and the bottom of the lip area here as well. You know, because we added this line in later, much of it is going to be, you know, sort of straight on with the two adjacent edges. So we will have to come in here and kind of adjust for the curve of the mouth, all right? And really bring those curves out. So on the chin here, you should be keeping this kind of nice rounded shape going on, all right? And also, up on the top here of the eye area, this particular grouping of verts really is kind of the brow. So you really want to bring this up quite a lot, okay? But still keep those nice rounded shapes. All right, something like that. And of course, if you are bringing that up, you'll want to adjust other things that are next to it as well. So it'll also be a good idea to bring these up. Kind of account for that. You can keep this area a little straighter. You know, one technique to kind of straighten things out if things have gotten a little out of hand or out of whack from one another is to just use your scale tool. You just grab a group of vertices, okay, and you can use your scale tool in just one direction at a time. So for instance, in this case, I'm going to use it in the Y direction and just scale those guys in. That's going to bring them into this perfectly straight line, which can sometimes be much easier to manage, okay? And just it's going to look nicer as well. So now we've kind of got this outer edge loop here, where we want it to be, okay? So then, you know, once you've got one looking good from this direction, you can move on up to the next one, right? So we can take a look at this one now and see, you know, how are we following our curves? How's it looking? You know, is it too far out? Is it too far in? What's going on with it? We can start grabbing things and moving them around to help improve our curves and our spacing and get them looking just the way we want them to. And just a little bit of advice here, you know, don't get stuck on looking at things from one viewpoint for too long, okay? Because if you are just looking at your shapes from only one direction for a while, you know, you're gonna start looking around and noticing that they're not looking quite as good as you expected them to from other directions, okay? It's really important to switch it up pretty often and just take a look at how, you know, maybe it looks great from the front, but if you look at it from the side, it might not look so great. So let's look at the side profile for a moment here and deal with these same areas that we've kind of been working on from the front, okay? So it's much messier from the side. We want to deal with, you know, some of these areas, okay? So the brow area, for example, is kind of not really defined here. It's just hanging out way back. You know, obviously your brow is going to hang over your eye quite a bit, right? So we can pull those forward really a lot. It's going to be good for our face in the end if we do bring those forward. And of course, because we bring those forward so drastically, a lot of other things are going to have to come forward as well. For example, this next area on the nose here, those are going to have to come forward, right? And really, you know, likely the entire nose is going to have to come forward quite a bit. We also can kind of see where, you know, the eye is coming along nicely, this eyelid here, then all of a sudden it's jutting out way far. So we want to bring that back into line with, you know, kind of where the eye socket is at, right? And to have it kind of hug that eye shape. And you can also turn on X-ray, you know, if it helps you kind of visualize what's happening with each of these different verts, okay? So you'll want to, you know, look at this from different angles, push things in, pull things out, and try to keep some nice curved lines going. So this should be kind of a nice rounded sort of cutout, okay, and this as well should be fairly round. It's going to have a bit of a point here where the corner of the eye is going to be, obviously. the rest of this should be pretty rounded. And again, you can look at these things from multiple angles to get the shape that you're really wanting out of it. Just want to be moving the nose forward quite a bit. Now another thing about this area of the face here, you know, now that we've kind of defined the brow area a little bit better, all right? Right here, if you kind of take a look at your face and touch your cheekbones, you can feel these cheekbones underneath here, just underneath your eye, okay? Protecting your eye socket and everything, these bones that are underneath. So it's going to make a nice kind of rounded shape. It's going to be almost like some S curves, okay? So it's going to be this nice round shape coming around from your brow, around your eye, and then it's going to come out and curve out this way as your cheekbone is right here, and then it's going to curve back again into your laugh lines and your mouth here, okay? So after we see this curve of the eye, we're also going to be seeing it curving outwards, all right, for that cheekbone area, okay? So you probably will want to bring a lot of these forward to really create that that S curve, okay, that you're going to get there. And again, you're going to be bringing your nose forward quite a bit as well. And because we're doing some fairly drastic shape changes here, you know, things are going to look a little funky at first. Just keep working on keeping those nice smooth curves going, all right? And eventually the shape will get there. So another major issue here with the profile of the face is that this guy's got a really, really serious underbite going on here. So you've got your chin coming all the way out here, and the lower lip and the upper lip is stopping right about halfway through the outline of the lower lip here. So obviously we're going to have to change that quite a bit. Since we've been kind of in the habit of moving things forward rather than moving things back, I think I'm going to take that approach here as well. And I'm going to say move this forward quite a lot. And it doesn't have to be that dramatic. You know, we can do something kind of in the middle here where we move this forward a little bit and also move this back a little bit. Okay, just kind of take the middle ground there. Now, of course, you know, again, when we're moving all this stuff forward and backwards, it's going to tangle up a lot of our geometry. So we'll just have to go through again and kind of deal with it. Now, the corner of the mouth here is kind of cutting pretty drastically across, okay? So I would grab this mouth corner bit. You can kind of see where this is where the laugh lines are happening, and the corner of the mouth is almost tucked inside the face at this point. So you want to pull that forward a little bit, or if you like where the corner of the mouth is positioned, you'll want to pull this back, all right? So either of those or a combination of the two will work. Of course, you're going to pull that stuff forward and back and around. You're going to have to move other things as well. Here. So let's kind of look at this, this chin line we got going on here. We'll want to kind of take this up and back, and it's going to go down into this neck area, all right? That's going to change the positioning of the one next to it quite a bit as well, all right? As well as the one next to that. So the nice part about this is, you know, the more you start to deal with each individual edge loop in a particular direction, the less work you're going to have to do for the next part, okay? Because things are going to start to be winding up, you know, roughly where they should be without too much tweaking, okay? Once you kind of deal with looking at things from the front and getting them where you want them situated that way, and then looking at them from the side and getting them where you want them to be from the side as well, it's gonna kind of fall into place. You'll see things working out pretty well. Now, I'm gonna get rid of these faces inside of the nose for a moment, because they've kind of gotten a little bit out of hand, a little ornery. So it's probably going to be easier at this point to deal with these just by getting rid of them and replacing them after we've kind of dealt with the shape of the nose and gotten it, you know, just exactly the way we want it. So I'm going to get rid of those, all these inside of the nose geometry bits. And then we can deal with the shaping of the nose a little bit better. It's going to be easier to see this way. Alright. So, back to vertex mode. I'm going to move this down quite a bit. Alright. Just kind of bring that more in line with what's happening with the mouth here. Okay. Of course, if I bring that down, I'm going to bring this down as well. And this center part of the nose. Okay, I'm going to bring this out a little. Again, just kind of, you know, probably about there is fine, really. I can also bring these down and round this out a little bit, okay? And just for the nostril, you know, I can bring this back a bit into the face as well, okay? And later on you'll get more geometry in this area that's going to help you define this part of the face a little bit better. Alright? For now, you know, we're just kind of working with what we have at the moment. So there's going to be some, you know, some stretchy polygons in this area. So your profile at this point is looking a little bit better from the side. You've got all your major structures in there. You've got your eye socket well positioned, your cheekbones, your mouth is, you know, in place. So from that point, you know, it's just kind of, again, a process of moving back from, you know, this that we've worked on to the next edge loop and the next edge loop and the next edge loop and working on those as well. Okay, just establishing how we want that shaping to go. So when you've got an edge like this that's kind of, you know, kind of coming up and getting a little out of control over there, we can grab all of these along a particular edge loop. Alright, make sure you don't accidentally grab anything from the inside of the mouth when you're doing this, okay? Because you can see those are back there. But we can grab all these guys and use our scale tool again to just firstly bring them into line with one another. We can just kind of move them into position where we want them. And again, use the scale tool in just the Z direction in this case. And the move tool to really position those and get them where we want them to be, okay? You can use the scale tool down here as well to straighten things out here, okay? So this is going to be kind of the area where the base of the skull is going to meet the neck, okay? So it's just going to come inwards just a little bit from the rest of the head, which is going to be much rounder. And once we've done that, we want to make sure that we kind of adjust the way our mouth curves are going as well, so that that's a smooth transition into this line. Okay. And we can work with the next one up. Alright. So we'll grab these. We can straighten them out and move them down to improve our spacing down here. Scale them in a little. You know, even though we're taking sort of the quick way by using the scale tool there, we're still going to have to adjust many of these individually at some point. Alright, so this is just kind of to rough in where we want things to be. Alright. Scale those guys in. And you know, this kind of flat line geometry is, you know, is working for us down here at the bottom of the head. Okay, but up here we're going to want to follow this kind of round skull shape more. So there, it's not going to be quite as simple as just flattening things out and placing them in the general location where we want them to be. Okay, we're going to have to follow those rounded shapes a lot better. Okay. You want to make sure that you're not making any kind of perfectly flat areas. So anywhere that you're seeing two edge loops roughly in the same place, you'll want to move those just a bit at least so that they're not right on top of one another. Okay. So really take some care on this outer edge area, all right? Get it shaped the way you want it. This as well, actually, we can use the scale tool to help us with this because we can just bring this into a straight line. Use our rotate tool and just rotate that into a nice angle, okay, that we like for this part of the skull. And for a line like this as well, where we've got zigzags kind of all over the place, we can bring those in line and easily kind of move them around to give us a general idea of where we're going with this shape. Alright? So I'd start with kind of the outside edges first, as something of a guide. It looks like I grabbed an extra one there, so we'll pull that back down with its other friends. So, you know, if your inner edges start to look a little bit crazy, that's alright for now. Just try and get your outside edges established. This outer curve, okay? And kind of get it just the way you want it. I'll go with something like that. So once you have that, again, once you have that outside line established, then you can work on the next one in from that. All right. And the next one in from that. Just following those curves that you've already established, all right? And this whole time you should also be paying attention to your spacing, alright? So if you notice that things on one side are, you know, maybe getting more space than things on the other, you may want to move things forward or back a little bit and kind of adjust them accordingly. So you can see after we kind of get the idea of where we want things to be, how quickly we can start to really adjust just our lines here. So in the end, we should be getting this really nice grid pattern with no, sudden sharp turns or no jagged edges. Okay, it should all be nice curving lines. So if I look at a line this way, it should curve nicely. If I look at it, this way, it should curve nicely. Just curves everywhere. And again, the further you get with this, the more the rest of your curves are kind of fall into place. You're gonna know right where to put them based on where everything else already is, okay? We can start to kind of straighten things out at this point right here, okay? And kind of transition into this more flat space. Okay, so we have, this skull as viewed from the side, kind of roughed in. It looks pretty nice from the side, really. I mean, we don't have to do too much to this from this angle. And if we take a look at it from the front, it's a little less good. But again, we can just come in here, and now that we've adjusted things from the side, they're going to be relatively in the right sort of area where we want them to be, okay? And then it's just a matter of kind of adjusting things from the front. it's also a good idea to look at it from your perspective view as well, okay? So that you're making sure you're grabbing what you are wanting to grab. And looking at it now, you know, it's looking kind of square from the front. So what I would do is actually just move some of this up just a little bit. All right. To just kind of round that out. And you can also, for example, move this out just a little bit as well, if you want to kind of avoid that squareness of the skull there, okay? So you'll also want to look at things from the back as well. So, you know, maybe our face looks alright from the front here, but the back is just not looking so pretty. So, you know, again, we'll just come back to the back here and keep on doing what we're doing. Just grabbing individual verts and trying to keep those nice curves that we want. And again, here it also helps to sort of establish how you're wanting your outline to look, right? Just by dealing with, you know, questions like, what does my spacing look like? How can I fix my spacing? How can I keep these curves smooth? Any areas where you're seeing sharp corners like this, you know, obviously people don't have a lot of sharp corners, so you want to bring things like that inwards to smooth them out, okay? Smooth out those kind of areas. And there are also places that you'll want to pull out as well. And it'll help to look at your model from the top as well. Okay, you'll need to adjust those. lines from the top. So again, you know, you'll just be looking at things from the top, from the side, from the front, from the back, the bottom, everywhere. So that, you know, eventually once you've kind of gone through each part of the model, feel confident that no matter what angle somebody looks at this model from, they're going to see nothing but really smooth, nice, flowing edges and lines. Okay. Which is going to translate into really nice, smooth, flowing models. Obviously, you know, whenever it's rendered, people aren't going to be seeing all of these lines, but they are going to be seeing the shapes that the lines are creating. Okay. And the smoother your lines are, the lot smoother your 3D models are going to look when you're all finished with them. So I'm gonna call it quits as far as shaping goes for now. I'm not gonna get into doing the bottom because I think by now you probably get the idea here. So I'm just gonna go into mirroring this over now. So I'm just gonna grab this in object mode. I'm gonna come to edit mesh, excuse me. And I'm gonna go to mirror geometry. I'm gonna grab this little option box here. Now you can see this little X pointer right here. It's telling me that when I'm looking at my model this way, anything over to my right here is going to be positive X direction. Okay, it's because the little X is to the right side of this little red line. Okay, and then anything on the other side is going to be my negative X direction. So what I want to do is take a copy of this and flip it over to the left here, which is negative X. Alright, so I want to make sure I select negative X here. And merge with the original, and merge vertices, and I'll just hit mirror. And it's going to do that. So, you know, obviously that's a little crazy looking. What's happening here is your merge threshold is quite high at the moment. So basically it's sewing together the two halves of the model, and it's taking a value from the merge threshold, saying, you know, hey, this is a maximum distance that things can be from one another before they get sewn together. Okay, so if we just come up to our channel box layer editor here, we can actually see our mirror right here under inputs. It's called Polymirror 5 in this case. And we can just click on that, and right here is our merge threshold. And we can actually adjust this, okay? So right now it's set to 0.1, which is obviously too high for us. So we're gonna set it to something smaller, like 0.01. We'll try that, we'll see how it works. Okay, looking better, but you can still see in some of these areas, like the lips and the nose, we're still having problems. So we can set it even lower. We try 0.001 if we want. Okay, now we have a split going on. So we can also do things in between. 0.005 might work. That's looking pretty good except for the lip area there. So you can see how we can just kind of adjust things till we get that result that we're really looking for. So, you know, if you go with something lower and you do notice little gaps happening, you can always come in with your Edit Mesh Merge Vertex tool and just sew those together manually, okay? So take a look all the way around your model after you're mirroring something. Make sure you don't have any areas where things are pinching, and you don't have any areas where things are having gaps, right? So we've been working on our model quite a bit today. You can see, you know, we've come pretty far from where we were at the beginning. You know, it's still got some shaping issues, but nothing that you can't solve just by coming in and working on how your shapes are going. Okay. So you can always get to this point at least, and then start really adjusting things so you're with the way that they're turning out. All right. So that's it for this video. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. And I know it's a long one, so thanks for sticking with it there. Let me know if you have any questions about anything that we went over in the video today, or anything at all, really. And I'll be happy to answer them for you. Other than that, that's it for today. Thanks, and happy modeling.